So, thank you for not believing always what you see or hear or read in the media. I greatly appreciate that. It is very frustrating for those of us on the board who are really trying to do what's right for our children. A couple of us put together a fact sheet that had the actual truth. No, we did not delete Thomas Jefferson. Actually, we went up on the number of minorities who were studied. I mean, the list goes on. We did not cut Cesar Chavez. We just took him out of students studying him under citizenship. We thought he'd be better in another place. So the rumors and gossip and falsehoods continue on, and we put together a fact sheet that we sent out, and it was, of course, totally ignored. But the good news is that many great things were put into the history curriculum. There are actually a lot of scouting principles. I'm the mother of 2 Eagle Scouts, and so that was important to me. So students starting in elementary school will study about truthfulness and responsibility to oneself and others, and holding elected officials to their word.
Amen.
You like that? Voting. They will learn about voting, about fairness. So that's awesome. And did you know that our students were not required to learn their state capitals? Now, I don't know how you feel about that, but I kind of would like them to know their state capitals, right? So we were able to put that back in the 5th grade. I made the motion, but do you know what the main argument was against that? That all they have to do is Google it.
That's right.
Kind of like the calculator thing in math. That didn't cut the mustard with me. And of course, many teachers were already teaching their students the state capitals. But remember, I talked about we have to ensure that the entire state is on board with that. And that it gets included in the textbooks, because what's in the curriculum standards and what's in the textbooks are also what our students are tested on, right? That's called the TAX test. It's about to change its name to the STAR test, right? So that accountability is in there. Anyway, and I do want to mention one thing, and I have to show you this. I know some of you've seen it before, but I have to show you anyway because of the new faces in the crowd. It's very important for us to have relationships, good relationships with the publishers, and it has to be on the up and up. I can't accept a cruise or anything, darn it. But anyway, I'm teasing. But we need to have a professional talking relationship. There was an American history book a few years ago, and I learned to just kind of make colored copies instead of bringing the whole book. And so I know you can't see this in the back, and you're welcome to come look at it later, but there was a specific chapter that was titled Nightmare at Omaha. And it gives a lot of facts about the battle. This was during World War II, and it has pictures of wounded soldiers, and there's a big map of where the battle happened and everything. But there's something about that title that is bothersome. It sends, well, you tell me, does it send a positive message or a negative message? It's pretty negative. My father fought in World War II. This, put the radar alert on. There's also a quote by General Omar Bradley that was not even the quote he was famous for. It says that American General Omar Bradley feared that this was an irreversible catastrophe. Okay, so we visit with publishers. We let them know, this is bothersome. There's actually a quote that Omar Bradley is known more for, so let me show you what actually was put in the books. So there is a way to get things accomplished.
Amen.
Now it's called A Day for Heroes.
That's a lot better.
Is that awesome? I love that. And it's still got the same map and the same pictures, but listen to the quote, which was actually the one that General Bradley was so well known for. Every man who set foot on Omaha Beach that day was a hero. Yeah. Okay, so we're teaching our students the same factual information, but we're giving them more of a positive slant to it, and we're teaching them about the sacrifices that their forefathers made for them. And so that is what we wanted to continue to translate into the curriculum standards that we fought so hard for last year. So those will be implemented, I think, in the coming school year, those history standards. The textbooks and instructional materials will follow behind that. The way that the system is set up can be a little bit confusing, but I think as the legislature moves more towards online materials, that the turnover will be a lot faster. so that once curriculum standards are adopted, that they will be put online a lot faster, and that's just something that's coming. There is no way to stop it, although I do personally think there's nothing like a good math textbook that you just sit down and study, instead of staring at a computer screen. But the cost is becoming overwhelming, and that is part of the reason. So, those are some of the things that I visited with the governor about. I also told him that the State Board of Education has been a good steward of the Permanent School Fund. Have you heard of the Permanent School Fund? Okay, so that's the main reason we don't have a state income tax. 150 years ago, some of our Texas forefathers invested about $2 million in, what do you think? We're in Texas, right? Oil, land, gas, etc. And I didn't check the value of the fund this week, but very recently it was at about $26 billion with a B. Isn't that awesome? And it has been called the Children's Textbook Fund. The Permanent School Fund is the Children's Textbook Fund. And so the state board oversees this fund. We are the fiduciaries of it, and we oversee the investment, but the legislature appropriates the money. So we determine how much we're going to send. I think this last biennium we sent them 3.5%, which was about 1.6 billion that we sent over for this legislative session. But then we have to fight very rigorously to make sure that that is spent on instructional materials instead of on things like laptops and hardware and things. We want it spent on the content. So I did want to mention a little bit about that. So that was the end of or kind of a summary of my visit with the governor, and I did accept the chairmanship after a weekend of praying and visiting with my family and making sure the boys were on board and my husband. And so your prayers would be greatly appreciated as I take on this new challenge. So I think we can have some Q&A now. I don't know how much time is left, but just let me know when we run out of time.